Happy Saturday. We've got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk to you about the October surprise, Zelensky in Pennsylvania, Eric Adams in New York, and Kamala is going to the border. We'll talk about it. We also have a wonderful interview where we're going to unmask the deep state. And then you'll want to stay tuned, I promise you, for our second hour, Growing Old Gracefully BS. I am going to take you inside of what it looks like to get a facelift. You don't look good.
I don't look good.
And I think you're going to enjoy it. All right, so here we go. I've been talking to you for a long time about an October surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 37 days left. I've got a seatbelt on. I'm firmly implanted in this chair because I'm telling you, I don't know what's coming, but I know something is coming, and I want to be buckled in for when it does. What could it be? We've got war raging in the Middle East. We have war raging on the Ukraine-Russian border. I suspect that it could relate to one or both of those skirmishes. I have said, and I will repeat, I do not put it past these people to stoop to no new lows. It would not surprise me if these wars somehow become combined into one, and we have the beginnings of World War III, and that Biden comes out and tells us the elections are suspended for national security purposes. Now, I'm not Alex Jones, and I don't make stuff up. So I'm not predicting that. I'm not telling you that that's going to happen. I am telling you that it is on my list of potential things that could happen. Or it could be just as innocuous as Kamala Harris, the border czar, going to the border for the first time in 3.5 years. That would never happen. Oh, I think it's happening yesterday. She went to the border and it was a farce. When Donald Trump went to the border earlier this week, he stood and he answered reporters' questions for an hour in over 100-degree heat. And he stayed there patiently and answered the questions. Did Kamala do that yesterday? What did you expect? You don't still believe in the tooth fairy, do you? Don't fall for this nonsense. And by the way, she introduced an 80-page economic plan. Read it. Read it. It's Biden reinvented. It's Bidenomics all over again with a new face on it. Don't fall for this. The listeners of the truth are not in this category, but the majority of the people, no, they're not the majority. Half of America validate everything P.T. Barnum said. You know, a sucker is born every 30 seconds. Well, in the United States, I think it's about every second now, because half of the voting people in America believe in Kamala Harris. Why would you believe in Kamala Harris? I don't know. Because you don't believe in her dogma, or maybe you do. Those people who still believe in the tooth fairy, that's what it is. Joy and happiness abound. Well, did you feel joy for the last 4 years? Did you feel happy for the last 4 years when they imported tens of millions of illegals who came to America, who they transported to the heartland of America, who they're now trying to register to vote as illegals? It's very clear what the purpose was. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. Just look. But I'm the proverbial preacher preaching to the choir. Of course you know what it is. It's a way to ensure one-party rule while they're talking about Donald Trump, the dictator and the fascist, and everything they say is one projection after another. Speaking of which, Zelensky this week came to America to attend the UN conference. Did he land in New York? No. He landed in Pennsylvania. A battleground state. Boy, is there truth to poetry in that statement? A battleground state. How prophetic is that? I just thought of it, actually. But he landed in Pennsylvania, a battleground state in the 2024 elections, And what did he do? He toured munitions factories. What is the subtle message that's being conveyed in Pennsylvania, possibly the most important battleground state of all? Oh, the Biden administration is creating jobs while waging war in the Middle East and in the Ukraine against Russia. These people are as incompetent as they are duplicitous. If you don't believe it, just ask Eric Adams. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, where they have deposited thousands of illegal aliens, and they're staying in the Roosevelt Hotel and in abandoned hotel buildings and motels on the outskirts of New York City. And they've had to create entire camp zones for these illegals to live while their homeless veterans lie helpless on the streets of New York. No one's coming to their aid. People who fought for our country, who came back to America, who don't have a place to shelter, yet your tax dollars and mine are going to pay for illegal immigrants to live in camps and hotels that we are paying for. And Eric Adams had the audacity to point it out, to criticize Biden and Harris. Wasn't very smart on his part, because now he and his cabinet are all under indictment. Now, this is really interesting to me because the mainstream media is portraying this for what it is. They're saying, well, is it really an indictable offense to ask for a hotel upgrade? Which is basically what Eric Adams accepted. He accepted upgrades and trips and some entertainment, and now he has been indicted for corruption. I guess the people who entertained him and who gave him upgrades may have contracts with the city of New York. I don't know. But good Lord, if this is going to be the standard by which we evaluate our public officials, every public office holder in America better be running for governor, because they're going to come for you next if you criticize them. I don't know. The reality is I really do not know. Here you have a liberal Democratic mayor of New York who is being indicted by the Biden weaponized Department of Justice. So basically you've got two people who should be compadres suddenly being put at odds with one another. I wonder what the fallout is going to be. Now, just fantasize with me for a minute that Eric Adams realizes this for what it is, as he has already called them out on it. He hasn't really called them out on it. He just said, I guess you should ask them if this is lawfare. And people in the crowd said, of course it is. It's political. What if Eric Adams' surrogates start coming out and saying that maybe Donald Trump would actually be a better solution for the state of New York? You know, they've narrowed the margin from 23 points in 2020 to 11 or 12 points. And now I'm learning that the margin has been narrowed to 5 or 6. That is, Harris is ahead of Trump by 5 or 6 points. That's almost within the margin for error. It is not within the margin for cheating, which is what we really need. We need a 5 or 6 percentage point margin in the popular vote and in the swing states to prevent them from being able to cheat sufficiently to steal the election again in 2024. Those are the kind of rough numbers. If you look at the dynamics right now and you look at the Electoral College right now, Trump wins with over 300 electoral votes based on the popular vote and the way that people are currently predicting the swing state to go. Speaking of which, keep your eye on Georgia. Kemp is going to save Trump in Georgia. He's going to fundraise for him, and he's going to turn his ground game over to Trump. And if you believe that, I've got some land just out here west of West Palm Beach I'd like to interest you in. I don't believe it. I don't trust him. I don't trust Kemp. I don't trust Carr. I don't trust Raffensperger. Why? Because they've given us lots of reason not to. I judge them on their deeds, not their words. And now we understand that Harris is up 3 in Georgia. You add another 5 or 6% for cheating in Fulton County, it's looking like Georgia is going to be an uphill battle. We need New York. Is it possible we could leverage what they're doing to Eric Adams into a W in New York State, where I believe they've got 28 electoral votes? The entire belief system, value system, policies that Biden and Harris have given us are based on a bunch of lies. They're telling you that Bidenomics works. Yeah, it worked all right. It gave us 9% inflation that they've somehow managed with help from Jerome Powell to get down to, I believe, just north of 3% now, while unemployment has skyrocketed to 4.2%. What a wonderful economic policy they introduced. And it's all traceable back to irrational, irresponsible government spending, which amounted to $7 trillion. And now those chickens are coming home to roost, ladies and gentlemen, because the interest payments are coming due. They've got to get the interest payments down, or else we won't be able to afford the debt. I'm telling you, we're approaching a tipping point, and I think the only salvation is to get Donald Trump elected. But their whole policies, their whole talk track are based on a series of lies. In 2020, Kamala Harris, as you know, was Indian. In 2024, she's black. And Candace Owens has done some really good journalism, investigative journalism, and she's claiming that she ain't even, that Kamala isn't even black. Check this out.
So here's the deal. You have Kamala Harris, and she was, throughout her entire political life, a very proud Indian woman. And that makes sense, because in case you didn't know this, Kamala Harris, despite being some percentage of black, her father is not fully black, her mother is fully Indian. She grew up with just her mother because her parents divorced when she was either 4 or 7, when she was very young. You know, she wouldn't have quite a memory of her father. That's why she doesn't speak about her black father. So it is an absolute absurdity to suggest that Kamala Harris grew up in an environment where she was being impacted by black culture. I'll show you a couple of pictures of her, by the way, growing up. There she is. This is her as an adult, obviously, with her mother, and perhaps, I'm guessing, her sister, not entirely sure. Here is another photo of Kamala Harris with her mother, and her mother looks very Indian to me. Her mother looks like Princess Jasmine, exactly like Princess Jasmine's hairstyle, right? Here she is. Yep, traditional Indian upbringing that Kamala Harris had. And I want to be clear, Kamala Harris, like I said, loved being an Indian woman because it helped her when she was running for various positions. And when she became a senator, she got to applaud the fact that she was the first Indian American. She was so proud of her heritage as an Indian her entire life. I'm just going to jog your memory by showing you just a couple of clips of how the news covered her, because this is how she was running. Take a listen.
California's Kamala Harris is the first Indian American U.S. senator.
And California's Attorney General Kamala Harris has scripted history as she won the U.S. Senate seat from the state, becoming the first Indian American to achieve this feat.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
I think she was speaking a different language. She was very excited. Anyways, that was Kamala Harris before she found out that she had to go black.
Ladies and gentlemen, I suspect that what is going to happen next is that she is going to join forces with Elizabeth Warren, and she's going to come out in a headdress, and she's going to tell you that she's really Indian, as in Native American. I don't know. It's just, you remember that girl on The Exorcist? If you're old enough to remember that movie, her head just spins around. My head is metaphorically just spinning around, because I can't believe what I hear, that nearly half of the American people validate P.T. Barnum virtually every day because they accept it. They believe it. They take it hook, line, and sinker. They let her off scot-free. Why? Because they want simple answers, and they're not willing to invest the time to really peel back the onion and get to the facts and listen to the truth every Saturday from 12 to 1:30 or 2 like you do. Which brings me to a couple of important points I want to make with you today. We're on YouTube Live, we're on Getter Live, we're on Rumble. Actually, it's allthose.com, hit the live button, and you'll find us. But look, it's confusing because we're also on the CD media platforms, on 13 global platforms on the World Wide Web, and they simulcast John Gordon Truth every Saturday. So you can go and watch it there. Well, all we're doing is our subscribers are subscribing there. And you can watch it on John Fredericks on Getter. And all we're doing is making John Fredericks look like a hero because his subscribers are going up every weekend. I know I'm confusing you. Hell, I'm confused. But it's really simple. If you want to watch us live and be entertained a little bit more, go to getter.com and go for John Gordon Truth and find our Getter feed. And go to Rumble and find our Rumble feed, and go to YouTube and find our live feed, and subscribe and like if you do, because I'm trying to get the word out. And I can only do it if we get more subscribers. Now, our subscription levels are really rising. But do you know how many people subscribe that listen to us? Less than 10%. And I don't charge you anything. And I'm not making you watch advertisements. So do Big John a little favor and go find our channel and subscribe to it. And if you do, email me. Email me at johngordontruth@gmail.com. And I will send you a thank you note back. And I will also enter you in a lottery to get a MAGA hat autographed by Rudy Giuliani. I spent a couple of hours a week ago with Rudy down in Miami. He spoke at a Rudy Giuliani Legal Fund dinner. I was able to spend some time with the mayor. He autographed that hat I want to send to you. But you got to subscribe to John Gordon Truth on either Rumble, Getter, or YouTube. And you got to email me, johngordontruth@gmail.com. I'm going to email you back, and I'm going to put your name into a lottery, and I'm going to raffle it off. You're going to get that hat. But listen, you want to stay tuned for later in the broadcast today, because I'm going to take you inside an anatomy of a facelift. And it's going to be really good. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really entertaining. And I'm probably going to get divorced next week after, oh gosh, I may have done this without the proper permission. Anyway, stay tuned. I guarantee you, you're going to like it. And I hope that someone I know really, really well is going to like it. We have been the greatest teachers for the whole world, powers. For the last 50 years, we've gone around and we have destabilized governments because we decided we didn't like them. We've done it all around the world. We did it in Venezuela. We tried to do it in Cuba. That one backfired. We did it in Iraq. We got rid of Saddam Hussein on a false narrative of weapons of mass destruction. And in the process, we have trained the entire world superpowers on how to destabilize a nation. Now, you haven't heard this anywhere else, but I'm going to tell you right here today on The Truth, I've been giving this a tremendous amount of thought, and I think I figured it out. I think I have figured it out. I think our enemies, Iran, Russia, China, Venezuela, I think they're conspiring either explicitly or through a unwritten or unspoken conspiracy to destabilize our country. And they're doing it through foreign agents that they've installed in the United States.